Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Adi to everyone. Happy Monday, the day of the moon. Our moon is waxing, it's getting bigger every day. Hope you all had a beautiful weekend. Hope you put the philosophy into practice. Yes. Saw some of the philosophy in your life. Yes. Practicality. So we're at a beautiful part of the Bhagavatam where Vyasadeva is a Shaktavesh avatar and he's confused a little bit. He's considering, why am I not happy? And as he's thinking, Narada Muni appears. Narada Muni understands his mind. Vyasadeva asks him, please help me. You can help. You can go into someone's mind and help me out. So Vyasadeva, Narada Muni is starting to instruct him. And so that's where we left off. And he's instructing. Remember, Vyasadeva is a author. So he says there are two types of birds. He used the analogy of birds. Crows and swans. So you can go to bookstores, right? How many amazing, Srila Prabhupada referred to them as literary men, that this planet has a lot of literary men and women, yeah? So many authors. So you go into a bookstore, so many authors, so many people writing. And that's a sign that humans love to
read.
Thank you. Humans love to read. Are you walking? I remember walking into the Barnes and Noble my first time. I was maybe 17. I was overwhelmed because I'd never been in a big bookstore like that in my whole life. In Belize, we had some little school libraries, right? Nothing like a university library in America. And bookstores, very small in Belize. But I walked into a bar, I was like, whoa, just overwhelmed. I was like, wow, so much knowledge is here, right? So yes, so this planet tells us humans love to read. Now, we also, as a human, we have a responsibility. Does anyone know what's the number one responsibility of getting the human birth? You all should know it by now.
Self-realization.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikunja. We have a responsibility to realize who we are. That's the many responsibilities are there, but this should be the first and foremost. Because if you become self-realized, you will not only become self-realized for yourself, you'll be able to pass it on to the next generation, your kids, your grandkids, right? You can share this ability of self-realization. The human form is very rare. We know that already. So in the 8 million, you get a human form. Wow, finally. Then, one thing about humans, we love to read. So Vyasadeva he wrote the Vedas, he wrote the Upanishads, he wrote the Purana. But what did we find in a lot of the Vedas and a lot of the Puranas and all that? A lot of karma kanda. Write this phrase down. Karma Kanda. So here we'll see Narada Muni is instructing him or helping him. He says, you wrote a lot of karma kanda in the Vedas. You wrote a lot of karma, a lot of fruitive techniques in the Vedas. That will never make people happy. People can have the best material assets, Vyasadev, from your help. They will learn these things from your books. They will never be happy. So, karma kanda, how to live in this material world to the best of your ability. So that's needed. We agree, yes? But what's also needed is how to get out of this material world, because this material world, we know, right? Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Srila Prabhupada's guru says, is not a place for a gentleman or a gentlewoman. We are a spiritual being. We need to get out of this material dimension and go back to the spiritual world. So, yeah, so this is the part where there are books for crows and books for swans. So he used this analogy. When you're in the mode of tamas and rajas, you will be attracted to the books of crows, wisdom. You'll want to read those books that just entice your material desires even more, further it. And we know their material pleasure, we know, it says in the last mantra we read, right? It is transient. Yep. So how do we connect? So you wrote a lot of books. And this is a nice, this blew my mind when I came to you, when I read this part of I was like 18 when I read this. And remember, here, not only is an authority of the Vedas is speaking to Vyasadeva, he is also telling him your books that you wrote are not complete. It's amazing, right? Here, an authoritative, Narada Muni, is telling us the Vedas are incomplete. The person who wrote them is also unhappy. Right? It's like, could you imagine someone came to us and said, I grew up with the Bible, and says the Bible is incomplete. Like, you will never hear that. Right? It's like, no, the Bible has all the answers to everything. That was how I was trained. But here we see, wait, the Vedas is amazing. The Vedas teaches us how to plant the ecology. It teaches us astronomy. The Vedas teach us so much. And still, here, Narada says, the reason you're unhappy is because of this. A lot of it is just to help people enjoy in the material world. And that is okay. But you also have to write books for them to get them out of this material world. Help them to develop the human responsibility. Help them to get self-realized. That's our only, or not our only, but our primary responsibility, right? We have a responsibility to be a son, a daughter. We have a responsibility of being a friend, so many responsibilities. But if we solve this responsibility, everything else takes care of itself. So let's continue. We're Narada Muni's instruction on the Bhagavatam, and we just left off mantra 9. Mantra 10. Sorry, mantra 11 we left off. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc. The unlimited supreme is the different creation. So let's go to mantra 12. Srila Prabhupada translates. Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of the infallible God. What then is the use of fruitive activities, which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature, if they are not utilized in devotional service of the Lord? So here, books which are or knowledge which only help you to attain material pleasure, he's saying here, is not fully pleasing to the pure self. Let's go to mantra 13. O Vyasadeva, your vision is completely perfect. So Narada Muni is telling Vyasadeva, the student, your vision is very complete, is completely perfect. Your good fame is spotless. Everyone knows Vyasadeva, that he has a good character, right? He's famous in the Vedic culture. Does anyone remember one of the things he's known for? Vyasadeva, besides being the author of the Vedas, what is he known to be recognized as?
Yes.
Can't hear you clear. Unmute. What is Vyasadeva known for in the Mahabharata?
He has three Kalayana. You can see if you're past the picture.
Okay, yes, he has Sri Kalagya, but I'm looking for another, something else he's known for.
He impregnated Pandavas,
Yeah.
the dynasty.
The dynasty. So Vyasadeva, before he had a son, remember his son Shukadev Goswami, before he had a son, he was considered the most purest soul on the whole planet. That once the king died and the three wives were there, the Brahmins, they came together, the intellectual, we need someone to, the queens need to get impregnated. So they went, who's the most pure soul on the planet? Vyasadeva. So he was in the cave in the Himalayas, meditating, Badrinath. And they went and they got, so Vyasadeva is famous for his purity. He's famous for his devotion to God. He has amazing fame. Everyone knows, oh, Vyasadeva, he wrote the Vedas. So that's why it's nice here. As Narada Muni is instructing him, Narada Muni is telling him about his qualities that he already has. It's a beautiful conversation. How many times do you have a conversation with a friend or a teacher, and the teacher or the friend points out your good qualities in you? How many of you had that before? All of us, right? Yes? Your teacher, your friend, wow, you know, you're so good at this, you're so good at that. You don't need to worry. Who've heard that before? Right? You don't need to worry. You're. So this is the same thing Narada is saying here. He says, Vyasadeva, your vision is completely perfect. Your good fame is spotless. You are firm in vow and situated in truthfulness. Amazing, right? So these are the qualities that Vyasadeva has. And thus you can think of the pastimes of the Lord in trance for the liberation of the people in general from material bondage. So this last half of this mantra is amazing. Because Vyasadeva is truthful, because Vyasadeva is pure, what can he do for? Not for himself. He already is liberated. But what can he do for? Others. Amazing. So every day, my teacher used to say, His Holiness Bhakti Chiruswami used to say, every day we must get up and see how we can help one other living entity. At least one. If you can help the masses, great. If you can help maybe a plant, maybe an animal. But this is how a Vaishnav thinks. Vyasadeva being this, we call him Acharya. He can help the masses. We are small in consciousness to Vyasadeva, but still, he would say, still we should do something daily that benefits another living entities, spiritual journey. Yes, not just material, but their spiritual journey. As we evolve, like we're studying the Bhagavatam and we're studying from someone who's initiated in the lineage from Vyasadeva, right? Srila Prabhupada is in that divine lineage. So now we're, oh, whoa. So then we are in the next link to people, to relate to people's spiritual knowledge that will help to bring them self-realization, right? There's so many, like I said, there's so many authors on the planet, but still we have so much wars and, I mean, the news is just crazy sometimes, right? It's amazing. That tells me all the amazing literary men and women we have on the planet, we haven't solved the basic human instincts of purification. We haven't purified the natural instincts of the soul. The knowledge, a lot of the books, some of them, instead of connecting us, bringing us into a healthy human family, separates us, creates tension in us. And people read those things and their philosophy gets chaotic. It's amazing, isn't it? Like, have you ever had a conversation or seen someone speak and you think, how did you start thinking like that? And it's like, oh man, you're joking, right? Like I remember I was like 18 and I met a guy in LA. And I was, presenting the Gita, the wisdom of the Gita. I was teaching the Gita to on the campus of UCLA. And one guy came, he's at college, curly hair, look up me. He says, yeah, man, I met Jesus Christ. I said, really? He said, yeah, I met him in Texas. I said, really? Yeah. He came back. And sure enough, few months later, he was referring to David Koresh. Like, people just get bewildered. And then it doesn't only happen there. It also happens those who come to the yoga philosophy. I met a lady in Berkeley. She studied some book of the Vedas, and all of a sudden she realized that she was Krishna. And so she was in a blue dress, blue makeup, and I was like, hello, what's going on? Yeah, I am Krishna. I was like, it's amazing how someone can come up with those philosophies like, no. So why is that? Because also in the Vedas, Vyasadeva wrote some Puranas, and if you go to India, you still see the people are confused. In the Puranas, Vyasadeva write about demigod worship. So in India, you have a lot of people who worship the demigods. Not as a servant of God, but that the demigod is God. So Vyasadeva, so in other words, Narada Muni is telling him, the Vedas, you messed up some people, Vyasadeva. Some people dressing in blue. Blue hair, blue lipstick. I was like, no, you've missed the philosophy. We cannot become God. We are a servant of God. No, that person is not Jesus Christ. So in every, also I met a guy. I think this was Santa Cruz, California too. He came up to me and said, he was with his girlfriend and we had the books there and incense. Yeah. He told us in front of the girl, yeah, I'm the living Buddha. I was like, okay, very good, the living Buddha. Yeah, it's amazing how the mind can get disturbed so easily, right? So in the Vedas, let's continue because let's continue the mantra. So here he's saying, follow Vyasadeva. In other words, we should follow Vyasadeva, follow Narada Muni. As we evolve spiritually, we should do something for another living entity, spiritual evolution daily. Right? So that's why we teach. That's why we share information, because people love to read, right? Earlier it says books that are not even well composed, even because it's truthful, it is part, those are transcendental literatures, right? Do we have any authors in the room? Who is the author in the room? I'm not an author. I'm not gifted as a writer, but yet I went and wrote a book. But by that mantra, it says, even if it is, because it was, even if it's incomplete. So okay, so just share the knowledge for people. So maybe in 2 years, we should have more authors in this room, right? Go write your book with with whatever you're skilled with. Because all those gifts we have, whether it's through athleticism, whether it's through banking, whether it's school teaching, whether it's, you can write a book with your field and show people how the spiritual vibration as a soul, they can connect to God through it. So this is service to others. Yeah. So let's continue. It says here, mantra 14. Whatever, this is because he's so pure. So now he's continuing. His teacher, Narada Muni, is pointing out all the amazing qualities. He says here, whatever you desire to describe that is separate in vision from the Lord simply reacts with different forms, names, results to agitate the mind of the wind, as the wind agitates a boat which has no resting place. So in other words, because Vyasadeva wrote about demigod worship, we see in India today, a lot of people are confused. The Vedas, he's pinpointing Vyasadeva of literary faults in him. Today you go to India, you go from one village to another village. Me and my friends would walk in pilgrimage. Oh, a deity of Kali. Everyone worships Kali. Who's Kali? She's God. Then you walk 20 kilometers, next village. Everyone is a Shiva. Who's Shiva? Shiva is God. Then you walk another 20 kilometers, Ganesh. Ganesh is God. So they don't, because they are sentimental, right? But they don't study the Vedas, so they don't understand that they are demigods. And they have some of the Puranas, they have some of the Puranas that can back up the worship of those demigods. So Vyasadeva, he says here, people, you wrote those things, people will get confused, right? And so, but someone who is practicing their devotion to a demigod, if they get the association of a Vaishnav, a true Vaishnav, like Srila Prabhupada, someone in the lineage of Vyasadeva, we can then get purified and understand, oh, the angel is not God. The demigod is not God. There's a big difference between the demigod and God. So, just association of the right philosophy. And then they can get purified. Right? And so sometimes you meet, does anyone knows how many demigods are in the Vedas, in the Puranas? Anyone want to make
33 million.
33 million demigods. It's amazing. And Vyasadeva wrote all their names and how to please them. This is how vast the Puranas are, right? He wrote about each and every one of them. And so people who travel around India, people get, oh, this demigod, that. So they get confused. And people are so confused. I've been in India on pandals where a Shivite shows up to speak, and the Shivite claims Shiva is God. When he's finished, the whole pandal applaud. The next person come, the person says, Ganesh is God. Everyone applaud. It's like no filter. Hello. Not because the person wears a orange robes means he is right. You have to study the books. So, and that's why we like this quote from Srila Prabhupada's guru. Let's write it again just to remind ourselves. Religion without philosophy is sentimentalism. Philosophy without religion is, you know the last part, anyone can answer?
Speculation.
Dry speculation. So
But
Srila
Victor, I have a question.
Prabhupada's guru makes this point that you can have sentimental, just bhakti, devotion to something. It doesn't mean it's bhakti yoga. You have to put some philosophy in there. Oh, why? Why do I love my grandparents? How do you know they're grandparents? Oh, your father, your mother. Oh, that is your grandfather. That is your Then you see the love reciprocate. You have knowledge and sentiment. Both are there. So if you need knowledge and sentiment to love your grandparents, the same thing is needed for God. Sorry, someone had a question?
Yes. So every one of them who worship those different types of demigods, but they also read Bhagavad Gita religiously, right?
That's a good question. They don't read Bhagavad Gita religiously. It's like I grew up in the Christian, and I must admit, I claim to be a Christian, yes, but I only read about 3/4 of the whole Bible. Most of my friends in Belize, they might have read maybe only Genesis. Right? And not just read, I was really studying it, right? Like study. So, no. So the masses of Indians, they don't read Bhagavad Gita. They know of the Gita through stories. They know of the Gita through, cartoons on the TV, or they see they grew up with the Mahabharata on TV, but they don't necessarily study the Gita, no. Yes? So sometimes when I would teach in the West, a lot of Indians, wait. You're African descent? I say, yes. How come you know the Gita better than me? Right? Because they were brought up with it, but that doesn't mean they studied it. They know of the names and all they will know all the characters, Jumna, Daksha. They'll know all those names because they learned it as stories. Right? But the philosophy, they don't understand it. And they don't study the Gita. The Gita is in their house. How many of my Christian friends have 3 versions of the Bible in our house? Right? And no one picks it up. It's just there, right? Only on Sunday. But so I see the same thing in Indian culture as well. The Bhagavad Gita is on their bookshelf. They don't study it. And then they meet someone like Srila Prabhupada. And that's why when Srila Prabhupada was in India, his guru told him, go to the West. Teach this wisdom to the West. His guru understood. What did his guru understood? Indians love to follow
Westerners.
Western culture. Right? And then Srila Prabhupada, some of Prabhupada's god brothers, some other disciples of his guru, they went to England and they said, no, we can't teach this. The people in the West too fallen, they're just into drugs, they can't understand it. And Prabhupada heard that, and Prabhupada didn't get discouraged. He said, no. They're spirit souls. They're not Americans. They're not Christians. They're not... No, they are souls. This philosophy is so pure. It's for everyone on the planet. Prabhupada with that conviction came. And then he started teaching and people started to gravitate to it. And then Prabhupada showed up, came back to India. All the Indians, no one wanted to listen to Srila Prabhupada. Right? Srila Prabhupada came back to India and he had about, I think it was like 30 Western disciples from America and Canada and England. And I think a few from Japan and a few from Australia or somewhere. And he showed up to Kumbh Mela, the biggest yoga festival. This was the first time all the Indian gurus that they saw Western yoga devotees, spiritual practitioners. They were like, oh wow, it's humanly possible. So and what did they do? What did the Indians started to do? Man, I better go learn my philosophy because even the Westerners are loving our philosophy, know the philosophy better than us. Because what did Prabhupada do? He didn't just initiate people. Prabhupada trained his disciples in the philosophy. So his disciples would be teaching Bhagavad Gita in India. They're like, how is this? One Swami, he had a stroke a few years ago. His name is Jaipataka Swami. Prabhupada sent him to Bengal. He learned fluent Bengali. He was so gifted with languages. He learned fluent Hindi. He learned fluent Bengali. And all the Bengali, right? And he's just quoting mantras from Bhagavad Gita. And people were blown. A lot of Bengalis started to study the Gita because of him. Prabhupada would empower his Western disciples. He didn't just, no, Prabhupada, you got to learn it. You got to teach it as well. So, religion without philosophy is sentimentalism. And we see that around the planet. A lot of sentiment. Right? So, we see wars over it. Right? People putting on what do you call it? The vest. Go kill people. The vest. Because they don't read the Quran, but sentimental. We're going to put a vest on and go into a bus and explore. That's sentimentalism in the name of religion. Then we have so many philosophers on the planet speculating, right? Okay, the universe might be 20 million miles long. No, that's not. No. The Vedas have all the knowledge of. It shows us how big and the dimension of the universe is. Let's continue with our next mantra. He says here. So he's telling Vyasadeva, your wisdom that you put in the Vedas, most of it is good, but it's also some of it in there is agitating the mind of people. People don't know what is self-realization. Next mantra 15. The people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you have encouraged them in that way in the name of religion. So, like I said, if you go to India, you know how many religions are in India? Anyone have a clue? Over 2,000 different types of religion you can find in India. It's amazing. So, and a lot of that came from the Puranas. We only hear about I think is it 8 major religions, right, on the planet? 8 major, but in America, how many religions are there that we know that are mainstream? Let's hear some. I think we can count about at least 10 on our hands in America, right? The primary one is Christianity. And that's why Srila Prabhupada said, the reason why America is so prominent is American forefounders believed in God. Even so much that what did they put on their money? In God we trust. Show me another culture, another currency around the planet that has that state. In God we trust. It's amazing. So we know Christianity is there. What else is here?
Islam.
Mormon religion.
Islam.
Mormon religion.
Mormon, yes.
Judaism.
Judaism. That's 4.
Buddhism.
Buddhism, 5.
Baha'is.
Baha'i, 6.
Baptism. Baptism.
Baptism?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's not the word.
No. Baptism is something we do in Christianity.
Oh, yeah, because there's so many like lineages.
Variations of Christianity. That's true, right? You have Protestants, you have, yeah. So there's so many variations of Christianity. So under Christianity, there's at least 5, maybe major, minor, different variations. Native American spiritual culture. It's not considered a religion, but you can see they connect to their divinity through their practices. In Hawaii. Hawaii is part of America, I think, yes?
Oh, here we have here. Well, I was thinking Jainism, but not in Hawaii.
So in Hawaii, they have their Hawaiian spiritual culture as well, right? The Hawaiian priest comes and bless the house, and it's amazing. When I was like, oh wow! So the Polynesian culture, we call it the Polynesian spirituality.
Did we say Hinduism? Did we mention?
Hinduism, right, is in America. Sikhism, yeah. Of course, the major ones are here, but besides the major ones, what is also is Jehovah Witness? Would that be considered Christian, part of Christianity? Yeah, like a sect of Christianity, Jehovah Witness, right? So you can see the tolerance for spiritual practice in America is second to none. It's amazing. And that's why Prabhupada said that's why America is progressive. That's why America is one of the most evolved culture on the planet, because the 4 founders, they instilled on their currency, in God we trust. You can never get any American dollar bill or any bill without, but most people don't look at it this day, right? Everything is digital. Oh yeah. So now we're not even holding the currency anymore. We're getting we have to make an app where the currency has that sign, in God we trust, in their app. So just to help them. So it says here, the poor people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you have encouraged them in the name of religion. This is verily condemned and is quite unreasonable. Because they are guided under your instructions, they will accept such activities in the name of religion and will hardly care for prohibitions. This last phrase, care for prohibitions. What does anyone remember why the incarnation of Buddha came? Why did the Buddha, main reason he came?
It's non-harming, right?
Thank you. To teach ahimsa. Because a lot of the Brahmins who were following the Vedic religion were offering animal sacrifices. So many religions in India, they were killing animals just to satisfy their tongue. They were no longer chanting the mantra. They were just eating animals in the name of religion. So the incarnation of Buddha came to help them, to pull them away from the Vedas. It's amazing, right? The incarnation of Buddha came to pull them away from the Vedas because they were misusing the Vedas. So that tells you the Vedas, up to this point, Vyasadeva, people got confused. But you're pure, you are amazing, you're truthful. So now I could see why you are unhappy. So the teacher is just pointing out why he's unhappy. You wrote so many books, but yeah, it has all these faults in it. You haven't teach them the main responsibility of the human form, to attain self-realization. So we'll end there with that mantra. Let's meditate on it. Ahimsa. It's amazing, right? Buddhism and Christianity, and you find out in all these amazing religions, there's that essence of nonviolence there. And so we have to know how to use it and how to use violence when it's needed. Yep. Good. Bring the palms on the knees. That's the tip of the thumb, tip of the index fingers. Close the eyes softly. Bring your awareness to the breath, moving in and out of the nostrils. Gaze into the center of the eyebrows and want you to contemplate this phrase. What is my primary responsibility having been gifted the human form? Contemplate the responsibility you have, which are secondary and tertiary, that are very important. We have so many responsibilities besides self-realization, and we know we have to be responsible. They're important to us, our family, our friends, our career. These are important. And recognize as we facilitate the being a responsible son, daughter, parent, responsible plant caretaker, animal caretaker, responsible teacher, whatever we do, we take those responsibilities very seriously. Then we should also take seriously the responsibility of knowing who we are, knowing who God is. Hence, as a human family, all of us, we have an attraction to read. Remember the first bookstore you went into as a child? Remember that first book you bought for yourself? Remember your university library, the books you used to read there? The knowledge in those books help to facilitate our living in this material world to the best of our ability. But we know the pleasures of this material world is transient. Hence, each and every one of us recognize there is happiness from reducing suffering. We are grateful for the engineers who developed the AC for us in this time of the year, developed the knowledge to make a heater in winter time. We're grateful for them. But along with that, we still see humans disliking each other, humans killing each other for no good reason. Hence, there's a pinprick. We need knowledge that reminds us that we are all spiritual brothers and sisters. A knowledge which teaches us how to love not just some species, not just some humans, but all species, all humans. That knowledge also teaches us that some species and humans are in the mode of tamas and rajas. We must love them from a distance. As we evolve every day, each and every one of us getting the blessings from Vyasadeva, from Narada Muni, can assist another living entity spiritually. Just remind someone that they are a spiritual being. Remind someone by your actions of compassion and empathy. Inspire others by your actions. Each and every one of us as a spiritual being has amazing, beautiful qualities. They're already there in our hearts. We just got to bring them out more. And what helps to bring it out more is association with like-minded people. So as we're associating with Vyasadeva and Narada Muni and Srila Prabhupada through the song vibration, we are getting their association. We get to evolve as well. And our divine qualities starts to come up. And then the ultimate goal, we realize who we really, really are, manifest. That is the primary responsibility of this human form, which we've got after many, many thousands of births. We landed in this human form. Grateful for the human birth. Grateful for the sound vibration of the Bhagavatam. Take a deep inhalation. Exhale slowly. Breath to normal. Bring the palms to the heart. Toward the amazing human brain, towards your amazing human heart. As we continue inspiring each other on self-realization. Namaste. Lift the head, open the eyes. Thank you all so much. Have a beautiful human evening and human afternoon. Thank you, Margaret. Mahalo, Greg. Thank you, Nikunja. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Helene. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Nikunja. Thank you, Babadi. Mahalo, Babadi. Thank you, Vivian. Thank you, or Yvonne.
Thank you,
Adios.
Victoria.
That's it. Thank you. Cheers.